we are coming to the beginning of week 3, and little Fern's going to be 10 weeks old tomorrow. So we're just going to talk about what's the next steps, what we're going to work on over the next week. Now, I've just done a video about what we've done previously. So all the things we've done previously, we're going to keep on reinforcing constantly. Good. But we're going to possibly introduce a few new things. Depending on how things go, we might not introduce them, and depending on how things go, we might introduce more things. But what I expect to work on is I'll possibly add the recall whistle. So when I blow the whistle, the dog should come running to me. So what I'm going to do with that is, as the dog is running towards me, I'll then blow the whistle. I won't blow the whistle and expect the dog to know what it means, because the whistle is just a noise, it's just a sound. What we've got to do is help the dog associate that sound with the action of running towards me and sitting in front of me. And we're going to do that by repetition and being consistent over thousands and thousands of times. Two quite common mistakes are thinking that you've already got recall nailed. Now, you've not got something nailed unless you can make it work in every single environment. So it might work in the house, but it's not going to work in a field with other dogs running in it. So you've got to work on things in different environments, and the way we're going to work on it is, first of all, we're going to look. Someone's got her attitude on it. First of all, we're going to do it just in the house, and we're going to encourage that action by myself or my wife will hold the dog. As we put her down, she's going to be inclined to run towards us. As she runs towards us, we'll then blow the whistle, so that she associates the movement that she's already doing, or the behaviour or the action that she's already doing, as in she's already running towards us, with the sound that she's hearing. And we're just going to keep bombarding her with that. We're also going to keep on using the verbal command, and just keep on building that association. It's not there yet, but a puppy's instinct is to follow the pack and follow the leader around. So you might be mistaken in thinking that because the puppy is following you or coming to you, that she knows what it means. But at 10 weeks old, and having only been with you for 2 weeks, there's no way in the world she'll know what it means, even if you did it over and over and over every single day. So don't be lulled into some sense of security that she's learned that, or you've taught that, or you've built that association. Good. Just keep on doing it. And the same with, I use a with me command, so the dog's always around me. Yes, she's starting to learn what with me means, but that's only in a sterile environment, and that's because as a puppy, she's really keen, and it's a natural thing for her to do, is to follow me around. Once we go out into the big wide world, and over the next few weeks, once she gets more bolder, then you'll realise, unless you nail that down all the time, it was never learned in the first place. It was just the puppy's instinct to follow you around. So we're going to keep on working on that. We're going to keep on reaffirming it in her mind, massively building that association all the time. The eye contact, I'm still going to work on that. So good. What we want to do is make ourselves enjoyable and fun to be around for the puppy, so there'll be plenty of little games with her. Moving forward to when the point comes where she's had her jabs and she can go out, we need to look at having her walking comfortably on a lead. We need to have her coming back to us whenever we ask her to, and we need to want her to be around us. And if we can't do any of those 3, they all go hand in hand. If you can't get those 3 nailed in here, in the house, or in the garden, never ever going to work when you go out for a walk and they smell all these things they've never smelled before, and see all these things and hear all different things that we can't even pick up on. We may also work on teaching her to leave things, because as they're getting a little bit bolder and more adventurous, they're going to go and start, I don't know, chewing at things or sniffing at things that previously, because they're so insecure at being away from you, they haven't had the guts to do yet, but they're going to get more bolder and braver as the weeks go on. So what we want to do is give the command, leave it, and the dog will leave whatever they are doing, sniffing, eating, chewing, thinking about doing, or whatever it may be. So we might work on that one. We're still going to nail the lead work in the house, up and down the house. What I'm also going to work on doing is introducing or working towards introducing a hunt command. So if I take Mildred, I won't say it because she gets really hyped up thinking she's hunting, but I give her an instruction. When I'm out with the dog, once she's had her jabs, if any other dogs come past or any other people that distract her, I want to distract her away from them, and the easiest way I find is to get her hunting around my feet. And the way I do that is I get a little bit of food in my hand, and I'll just move it around in front of the dog. And then what I'll do is, as we go outside, another dog comes past and gets her attention. I'll show her that, and I'll move it around in the grass, and I'll get her hunting around. And then as the weeks go by, I can introduce the command, and in advance of her seeing other dogs, I can get her hunting at my feet, finding rewards around my feet all the time. And then eventually, as she sees the dog, she'll associate other dogs mean there's stuff to be had around my dad's feet, so I'll go and I'll hunt around my dad's feet. And then taking forward into field work, she will be around other dogs, but she'll be more interested, or the plan is she'll be more interested in hunting around my feet. Good. Toilet training. She's getting a little bit of bladder control, so we can increase those distances at the time, from when we were taking her out. Sometimes we're every 20 minutes in the day when she's drinking a lot, and sometimes at night we're at 3.5 hours now. And we're just going to work slowly and gradually, adding 2 or 3 minutes onto each one. And we're going to pay attention to her keeping her nose down and indicating to us that she needs a wee or needs out the door. We're trying to teach her as well to let us know when she wants to go out the door by getting her to sit now. Sit before you go through the doorway. Will hopefully build the association in her mind that when I want to go through a doorway, I've got to sit. So I'll go and sit at the doorway, and it will magically open in front of me. And then she'll piece those two together. I need a wee. It's got to be outside. I'll go and sit at the doorway. That's the plan. I'm not going to work too much on. So, for example, if I want to let her out of a cage, she knows she's got to sit like that. As soon as my hand goes near this, she sits. But when I open the door, she comes flying out. Now, at the minute, I want that. I don't mind that, because I don't want to take any of the spark out of her. As she gets a little bit older and I want her hunting, if I say hunt, I want her like dynamite. And there's a possibility, if you quell her instincts in here, you'll quell the drive in her as she gets older. So I'm not too fussed about that, because I can take it out of her when she gets a little bit older. If you're not going to have a dog that hunts or anything like that, then work on it now, because you won't take that hunt out of them. Good girl. Good. So I'll show you what it's like when you let the door open. As soon as she hears this, she'll dive out. Good. Good. Yeah, money. That was a really poor demonstration. Good girl. Good girl. She's started nipping a little bit today, so we're going to work on that. So there's a few ways of doing it. If a dog displeases another dog, it certainly lets it know, and it'll let it know by growling, a low growl from the back of his throat, or by baring his teeth, or by curling his lips, or by frowning. So that's what I do. If she takes my hand, I'll push it into her mouth a little bit more. Puppies, when they get nipped by their litter mates, make out a yelp, and it stops them in the tracks. Or another dog will give a serious bark or a oi, or something like that, and that'll stop them in the tracks. And it'll associate that scared feeling that they feel when you say that with what they were doing, and they'll eventually think, biting makes me scared, and we need to stop that now. It might be okay if she's a little puppy, but if we don't stop it, it'll only ever get worse. Teeth on our skin is a no-no, and it should be with you. No matter what you want to do with your dog, it should never be allowed. So that's pretty much all we're going to work on. All we want, or all I want, and it would be better for most people if all they wanted, is a dog that is obsessed with being around them, a dog that comes back when it's cold, and a dog that's good in the house. You can work on later down the line sitting when you tell it to. You can work on later down the line paw, doggy dancing around your feet, wait, not touching its dinner for 20 minutes until you tell it. All those things come, but teaching a dog how to live with you nicely in the house is or should be, in my opinion, a major priority. One thing I forgot to say we might work on is introducing the sit command. So we're working on the action of sit, but the first thing to do when you're trying to teach anything is work on the action or the behaviour. So we're getting the behaviour, and once we've got that perfect, so for me, bum firmly on the floor. Sometimes dogs are inclined to hover, ready to pounce, so I don't want that, so she gets nothing for that. Bum firmly on the floor, eyes fixed on me, permanently fixed on me, not glancing at me and glancing away. I want her eyes fixed on me. Now we're getting that behaviour, I'm going to add the command sit into it. Now the way you're going to do that to start with, I'll film a video specifically for that. The way you're going to do it is once you've got the behaviour as a bum is sitting on the floor, then you say the word, then you give the praise, and that's teaching the dog that that action at the same time as that word gets praised. And then later down the line we can give the word and she goes, where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, it's when my bum touches the floor, so she'll do it. So first of all, we're not giving an instruction, we're building an association with an action and a word or sound, and then later down the line, once she's learned that association, we give the sound and then we get the action. But don't try preempting things by going up to a dog going sit, 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 if it doesn't know what it means. Build the association first, and then later on down the line you can expect the behaviour.